The main road into Tulkarm has been cut off by the separation wall. A diversion is being built but isn't finished yet. We rocked and crashed our way through the potholes. Well, what I understood was a settler road flew over our heads on a bridge with vehicles speeding along. The usual injustice. Tulkarm is a genuine Arab town. It seemed completely non-touristy. It has streets bustling with life. People coming and going, doing their shopping, going to work, socialising and hanging out. Even the kids playing in the streets looked happy. It has a gorgeous fruit and veg market, piled high with citrus fruit and salad crops. In contrast to much of our produce in Britain, this won't have travelled so far to get here. And since the Israelis don't allow the Palestinians to import so many agrochemicals, probably a lot healthier too. It was a pleasant respite from what we'd been witnessing over the last couple of weeks, to see people getting on with their ordinary lives, less hindered by the Israelis. I enjoyed looking at lots of little normal shops, and was charmed by little farmer shops selling tools, seeds and donkey harnesses. I wished I'd brought a spare stomach with me to do justice to the cafes.
What is this?
Food and hummus.
Oil.
And the mouth-watering cake shops. Oh, heaven on earth. Every shape and texture and colour you could possibly dream of. A chance to restock on some of the calories burnt off while trekking up and down hills during the olive picking. Next I had to find the orphanage. An obliging policeman showed me where it was in the town's main hospital. Assalamu alaikum.
My name is Rauda.
Everyone was very welcoming. The children made a great fuss of me, even though they didn't really know who I was. But despite the distractions, the older ones were settling down to do their homework.
Took 85 from 100.
Oh, very good.
I set up my video camera.
On behalf of the Bristol group, we're delighted to hand over the money which we've raised for the orphanage here in Tulkarm.
And in return, I was handed a very impressive receipt. In Arabic, of course. We all posed for a photograph. Maybe it got into the papers. While I was at the hospital, I got caught up in someone else's retirement party. I remarked how good the ambulance staff looked in their Red Crescent uniforms, and how brave they must be too. And suddenly, I was being shown pictures of the day that the tank had crushed the 2 ambulances, and then shot up the crew. 3 of the staff were wounded, 1 seriously, and 1 driver added to the list of martyrs. I went up to the top floor to video the children's play area. To the east, the hills of the West Bank rose up and reminded me of the hills of Wales. And to the west, the land flattened out into the coastal plain, and I could see the line of the wall where it was slicing its way down the side of the city. Later, I took a walk along the route of the wall. This used to be a bustling main road here connecting with Israel, but the wall has cut all that off now, and to economise on the height of the wall, the Israelis have demolished all the tall buildings instead. Out of the city, the wall gives way to a multi-layered fence. First a barbed wire fence with signs, then an anti-vehicle ditch, a gap, and then a serious-looking central fence which has sensor wires and floodlighting. Then there's a military patrol road and a final barbed wire fence. Imagine this being built through our country. And it even cuts off Palestinian towns on the far side. How is that supposed to be for security? My bus journey took me south again. I was treated to a further experience of the second-class Palestinian road network, and in the distance, a long, running, continuous scar on the landscape indicated the route of the separation fence. My mind began to think back over some of the other depressing stories I'd heard on my trip. I thought of the man in Al Sawiya whose son had been arrested and held in prison for no good reason. Is there any news about your son?
They catch him while he was coming back from Jordan.
They take him to the prison since more than 3 weeks. Nowadays, they want him to be a spy with him. For example, they said to him, "We send you and your wife to a Europe country. I only want you to go to the mosques, see what Muslims doing there."
And there was the man we met in Haris. He had the misfortune to own some land at the edge of his town. First, the Israelis built the new settler road through it. Then they cut down all his trees because they were a security risk for the road. Then the day we met him, a digger had arrived to start work on the foundations for a military watchtower. And if anyone felt like arguing, the armed security guards were at the ready. He took us back to his house for tea. He told us of the 5 deaths and many injuries during Israeli incursions into his town. His wife showed us a book of martyrs, which included details of hundreds of children killed by the Israelis. His son came in and showed us the scar on his leg from a bullet wound. And finally, he showed us the damage to his front door when the Israeli soldiers had tried to break it down one night. We had visited the girls' school in Al Sawiya. The head teacher told us about how the armed settlers came in and attacked the school and broke equipment. And she told us an horrific story of what happened to a pregnant woman at a checkpoint.
She takes his gun and she become bleeding maybe 3 hours until she died. She died.
And I remember a poster of Rachel Corrie. She was with activists from ISM blocking the bulldozers demolishing houses in Gaza. They'd held off the bulldozer for half an hour. There was no doubt the driver knew they were there. But the last picture took my breath away. It's the crushed body of Rachel Corrie after she's been run over. She's bleeding, she's being comforted by her companions, she probably knows she's dying. Dear Archbishop of Canterbury, it was Caterpillar who made and sold the armoured bulldozers to Israel to do this. If there isn't a reason to disinvest, I can't think of a better one. If ethical investment doesn't start with the church, where else does it start? I'm beginning to wonder if I can cope with much more. And it's still raining. Our route takes us down a valley called Wadi Qana. This used to be a local beauty spot. Families used to come here for picnics, to swim in the river, and to pick pomegranates that used to grow wild on the banks. But effluent and industrial waste from new Israeli settlements is discharged untreated into this river now. The water runs dark, and even from where I am, it smells. I travelled back via Ramallah, out of interest to visit Arafat's tomb and the remains of his presidential palace. I remember seeing the outrageous scenes on the television news when the Israelis invaded and knocked a lot of it down. Think how we'd feel if this was done to Buckingham Palace or Downing Street, if you see what I mean. Then I'm leaving Ramallah on a bus for the dreaded Qalandia Junction. On the Ramallah side there's yet another, same but different, hell-on-earth traffic nightmare. From this direction I have the pleasure of passing through the metal cattle sheds with the Palestinians. I kept my video camera running for as much of the dismal, insulting route as I dared. Then the soldiers spotted me, but waved me through on the non-Palestinian side. Now I know what an apartheid system feels like. Then I'm out into the parallel universe of the traffic hell on earth on the Jerusalem side. Qalandia Junction looks almost familiar by now.